bull run has started, right? What if I told you that you should exercise caution, short term at least? What if I told you that we might actually be seeing last drop, short-term drop to the last support area? And today we're also focusing on the ecosystem that a lot of people are essentially saying that it will be flipping Solana. I will be showing beta plays. I spoke to the OGs of this ecosystem. I prepared a bunch of research and a bunch of information on how you can actually get exposure to the ecosystem. Safe leverage longs, as they are called on the market. We are talking today about top 5 SUI meme coins. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and without further ado, let's start. As usual, we're starting with the chart of Bitcoin. It's very interesting that recently this level was resistance level, and I was the only one person on the internet who actually was telling you that we are going through it, we will breach through it, and we are actually going there. The only one person out there. Everyone was bearish, everyone was saying you to tell your assets. I was just screaming at you, buy into your assets, right? And what's interesting is that the change that we got recently, this level actually from our resistance is now our support. And a range of people in the marketplace are actually expecting the drop to 61K at this stage. Some people are seeing a different scenario that, for example, we are pushing back to 69. We are not able to breach 70K support, and we are dropping to 61K right there from there. I would say that this scenario will definitely rob a large amount of people, because here we will have bears capitulating. Here we will have people opening loans through all this move up, and through all this move down, they will be selling and they will get liquidated. However, I won't say that currently on the market we actually have enough liquidity. Speaking of shorts liquidity, right? For this move to actually happen at this stage. Based on the liquidation heat map, it definitely shows that this scenario is more likely at this stage. And I would say that this scenario would be a very, very healthy for the market structure. We will liquidate late longers. So all the people who are entering late longs at this level will probably get liquidated if we are dropping to 61. Maybe even some of my longs will actually get liquidated. You have to understand that with the drop to 71K level, some alts, they will definitely receive a larger drop as well. Mostly, I would say, from the liquidations on the longs, because in general, I don't think that market understands the current situation, market understands the current sentiment, market understands the current scenario, market understands the Q4, market understands what is happening currently. Market also understands Bitcoin dominance, and it seems like Bitcoin dominance finally reversed. Alts, they're definitely performing, and we're definitely actually seeing rotation from one sector to another, to a different one. It's very, very interesting type of setup that is actually happening there. Unfortunately, I'm missing some of the rotations, and then when you're looking on coins that are pumping up, you're thinking, man, it was so obvious, why didn't I do it? But in real time, it's often not so obvious. So we had this huge pump, we had the continuation of the pump. A lot of people are probably like trying to close the loans here and things like that, and we are kind of in this range, in this sideways consolidation range for some time. This, like, the only issue I have with the 61K area is that it's too obvious. It's just generational setup for longs, and people in the marketplace, they would understand it very, very well. I would say that people will be entering max high leverage from 61K level right here. Let's take a look at liquidation maps. We have to understand this thing as well. 2 weeks is too large of a time frame, so let's actually look at 48 hours. You can see that we have huge liquidity at $62,600, and you might say that we're not that far. We are only $1,000 away from this liquidity, and if we touch this long liquidity, we actually should be dropping back to 61K. And what's more interesting, we don't have a lot of shorts liquidity. Through this last move up till almost 65K, we got all these shorts actually liquidated. And that's why I'm saying that I'm not seeing too much liquidity in terms of shorts on the marketplace to just move up to 69K. But I would say that marketplace changed a little bit, and currently it would be a bit harder to predict short-term movements specifically based on the liquidation heat maps. I would that currently will have some other events essentially playing out as well, macro-wise, stock market-wise as well, that will probably be pushing the price of the underlying asset, which is BTC, a bit higher without these situational liquidation maps. But they definitely tell us currently that we should be going to 61K through the liquidation of these loans, and right there, as mentioned, it would be the easiest setup for loans for any type of coins. If you were entering loans somewhere in this area, you're just verifying. I would suggest Don't try to do anything, don't move, just hold your longs. There is a very, very high chance you would be able to hold your longs through the whole cycle. And these are very best type of longs. You want to have this type of longs that you would actually be able to hold through the whole cycle. This is a very great situation to actually be in. So this is my overview. We might move up just with no corrections to 69k, but I would say it would be a bit more healthier because the amount of leverage we have here, it's not a quite small one, and at the same time we are very, very close to this area. We're only 1,000 points away BTC wise. It's very close. It's nothing for Bitcoin. Coming back to the topic of this video, we're speaking about SUI meme coins. SUI is essentially surging up. It's starting to get some attention from the cabal structures out there in the marketplace, and I do like the outlook of the meme situation right here. I do believe that a range of market participants will eventually become exit liquidity on SUI meme coins, probably coming closer to the real reversal, real pump. So if we are going to 61k currently and then we are reversing and we are surging back, I do believe that SUI will be one of the first to continue the pump, and it will essentially attract a bunch of people into ecosystem. I'm already seeing some Solana traders coming to SUI as well. So this is the situation that I definitely like because I'm positioned. I have a certain portion of my capital in SUI at this stage. I was speaking to SUI OGs and I will be sharing this information today about available meme coins on the SUI marketplace currently at this stage, right? First of them, the largest one is Blob. I have a very, very sad story to tell that at $7 million market cap, I actually acquired 1% of Blob that I sold, unfortunately. And this would be how much? This would be $180,000 at this stage. Wow. So this is the first lesson. Don't overtrade in boring setup of the market, because I lost so many 1% positions in so many meme coins. This is just crazy. It's kind of painful to even recall this information. So Blob is kind of crazy. It just moves up like there is no tomorrow. And what's interesting is that Blob is sucking up most of the liquidity in SUI ecosystem. You can see that the liquidity is $3.5 million. This liquidity is actually equal to the liquidity of Boba, and the market cap is only $44 million. Boba market cap with this amount of liquidity is actually at around $75 million, which kind of makes the meme coin heavy. But we have to understand that this thing is just a very, very, very type of solid peak. However, I do think that a very, very interesting thing might be happening with Blob because of it. I do think that it actually might be a weakness, unfortunately, because with such a large amount of money that is needed to push the market cap of this thing, maybe a range of people essentially would not want to push it from certain levels because they won't be seeing the upside, and maybe there would be certain meme token out there that will probably be cabal launched, right, with sniped supply and with a connection of the amount of liquidity and the market cap, the correlation done in a very, very different way. One of them that we're seeing that was publicly shielded yesterday is essentially Plop. It's this attempt of cabal to actually launch a meme coin on SUI and make it the largest meme coin out there. They definitely received a nice pumpage recently, and if you actually would focus on liquidity and market cap ratio, you can see the liquidity is only 250k. Market cap is already at 8 million. And this is exactly the situation that was happening with Brad and Toshi on base. Toshi was also initial more heavier token. Brad was a token with a ratio and market cap in terms of liquidity and market cap, a way different one. And the market kind of was easily fooled by that because people were screaming that Brad is the largest meme coin out there, and it was not, because the amount of liquidity was just not there. But over time, because people essentially saw this thing pumping up and going up, they essentially bought into the whole picture, and Brad really became the largest meme coin on base, which is a very, very interesting situation. So something like this might be happening here, obviously, if the cabal who's behind these things will essentially continue to push this moving further. I would also say that we have to be careful because the cabal that is pushing Plop is essentially, this is for example one of the tokens as well, so they actually might go down heavily. So I was able to catch a nice entry point to this thing yesterday. I think if you would be able to find your entry, this would be a nice thing. I think we might be going to $40-50 million depending on what they would be doing. However, at the same time, you never know, they just might want to take profits from here and just dump this whole thing to zero. But I would expect them to continue the push a little bit more, right? I won't say it's getting adopted much from SUI native ecosystem, guys, but it's definitely pumped and it's definitely shielded by a range of influencers out there with a very nice following on Twitter. Next thing I would like to share is SUUN. So narrative behind this thing is actually quite crazy, because if you're a fan of Pokemon, which is I think one of the first animes or something, like I'm not an expert on this, I'm sorry, right? SUUN is actually a water Pokemon, if you would think about that. And this is a water type legendary Pokemon. And SUI as a blockchain is also a drop of water. Do you understand how crazy this narrative is? And SUI is also kind of Asian blockchain as well. Like the development team is based in Asia. There are a lot of guys that are Asians who are essentially in this blockchain, a lot of whales. So it's a very crazy type of combination. Narrative wise, I would say, because I was doing a bunch of research on SUI memes, and I would say this is by far the best narrative for SUI meme coins out there. Narrative wise, it's just a crazy narrative if you think about that. Water Pokemon, it's crazy, right? This coin was shielded by large influencers during the first pump when this was happening, like in March, right? But for some reason it actually did not reach high valuations, probably because of the fact that SUI peaked at $2 at that stage. And I kind of have a feeling that until the end of the year we should be seeing SUI at $4 at least, which means that this thing should finally start to get appreciated in value, right? And interesting thing is that I still think that market is a bit scared meme coin wise, right? So they're kind of performing the same as the main tokens of the ecosystems, right? But once we are becoming like more and more risk on, more and more liquidity will be essentially coming into them, right? And especially with people that would see that they underperformed in some cases as well, I do think that more and more liquidity will be added. So I would say this should be one of the safest picks in the ecosystem. It still have some upside, right? It won't be, I doubt it would provide like a very great upside, because it's essentially just only 2x from the all-time highs, which is not the ideal situation if you would think about that. However, at the same time, SUI is kind of at the same levels as well. So SUI was $2, currently SUI is around 1.6, 1.7. Next thing I like is Sushi. I think I was actually sharing it in one of the videos. This is just a stupid meme. It's like a cat sushi. And I do think that like once Solana folk will come to this blockchain, they will appreciate these memes. It's kind of like cat meme. It's also like this viral cat meme that were popular on Solana for quite some time. You might say it had a run till 2,075,000, right? We'll see what will be happening with this thing. I'm holding a little bit myself. And yeah, it's just like this beta play for more exposure into the SUI ecosystems. Last but not least is Ape on SUI. So some people are saying that essentially Suishi is the same team as Ape, right? So this is the second project of theirs. I do believe they wanted to have some connection with Bored Apes or something, but we essentially have Harambe on Solana, which might be doing quite well, moving further into the cycle. So maybe this thing will kind of serve as this Ape token out there. But I would say that Suishi and Ape, they definitely, like narrative wise, they're definitely not that strong, and they definitely would have their own ceiling. So I would say that maybe in a peak degeneracy, they would be essentially providing nice yield and nice results. I would say that they're riskier. Blob, if you just want to have some exposure to SUI meme coins, and if you want to, Blob will definitely outperform SUI moving further. It's just quite heavy at this stage, right? SUI, it's this like nice older peak with a crazy ass narrative, if you would think about that, the Pokemon. And Plop is essentially something if you would want to play with Cabal, with their peaks, right? Might go up, might not, we'll see. We have a very interesting correlation between a market cap and liquidity for sure, speaking of this thing. And if you would be able to find your entries, I think actually like somewhere here, if you would be buying somewhere in this range, this should be alright for the next leg up. Obviously, if they would plan to continue to pump the project, it will heavily depend on SUI ecosystem. I'm just saying there was no blab at these market caps a month ago, right? So there's definitely certain interest in SUI ecosystem meme coins. There is liquidity coming there. Therefore, there should be an opportunity in the ecosystem as well, because once we have first mover in the ecosystem, meme coins are starting to return into the ecosystem as well. Same thing that happened with Nero CTO on Ethereum, and essentially it definitely helped certain meme season on Ethereum to continue and move further as well. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Bye bye.